Fingers crossed that my last stream is working. And so far so good. I really hope today I'll no longer have any issues with my internet, is my sincere and deepest hope. Okay, so I'm working on the last page of chapter 2. I'm so happy. I'm gonna finish this soon. It's been a year. So it has taken us a while to do this. My plan was that it would take me 2 years to make this comic, 5 chapters, but it seems that it's gonna take longer than that. It might stretch to 3 years, which isn't what I planned, but I guess I didn't plan correctly, simply put. Okay. So we have here Irwin sabotaging Newton, and gonna take out a older page. Just so I have all of the colors, and I'm looking for it. I gotta shrink this even more. And I wanted one with Newton as well, but okay, here we go. So I can have all of the colors on hand. Hi there, can you hear me? Hi, can you see and hear me okay? There should be some lag, but hopefully there will not be too many issues. And I'm gonna get Newton's hand color here and put it on the whole character, and then I'm gonna fill in the rest. Just my bad connection. Oh, I'm sorry for you for the bad internet you have. Mine isn't very great either. It's a constant source of frustration for me. I wish I had better internet. I'm coloring his clothing here. Trying to get all the bits and nooks and crannies. So I'm hoping that I got all of the clothing historically accurate. It was a lot more work than I expected to make a period piece. Streams often lag. to send my video to a server in Florida, and then they distribute to the rest of the world. So the way it goes is I use OBS, and it sends to a server, and then that server sends to YouTube, Twitch, and Picarto, and then these three channels that I'm streaming on, they send to the rest of the world. Yeah, unfortunately, this is the best I could do. I don't know if there are other better streaming services, but I doubt they're free. So then if you would want to watch my stream, you would have to pay them. And I think I would have to pay them too to be able to use their services. So they'll be getting money from both of us. That is assuming that I have good internet and you have good internet. There are just so many things in between that are affecting the quality of the stream. Okay, reconnection. Okay, I'm live again. Worst internet I've ever had in my life. Just when you think it can't be worse, there is. I used to live in a small apartment before I met my husband, and I thought that internet was crappy, but this one that I have now, whole new level of I don't even know what to call it and still be polite. But at least the end video looks okay, and you can watch the playback on YouTube. Of course, it's not as fun as being live and actually asking the questions, but okay, I get his color. So the program that I'm using is called Clip Studio Paint. It used to be called Studio Manga, and it's a program designed for manga illustrations. So it has a lot of cool features like vector line art that is a lot more editable and maneuverable than you would have in Illustrator, for example, which is a vector dedicated program. I would say it's like the best of both Photoshop and Illustrator. It's designed especially for comic book illustrations, so it makes a lot of things easier and faster for me to do them in Clip Studio Paint, and it's also a lot cheaper than Photoshop. So I got the whole program with $25 at a discount in November, and now you have to pay what, 40 or 30 dollars each month for Photoshop Creative Suits or whatever it's called. They keep changing the name, I lost track. Oh, hi Anna, how are you doing? How's it going? This is evil Erwin sneaking around, doing mischief. I'm almost done with chapter 3. This is the last page of chapter 3. I am so happy I'm ending this chapter. I was planning for the whole thing to be done in 2 years, but I guess it'll take 3 years at the rate that we're producing the pages. Trying to finish one of the pages for tomorrow. Oh. Are we gonna get some fight scenes? Those are really difficult to draw. I'm gonna have a lot of fight scenes in chapter 3 and 4 and 5, so you ended chapter 3 before me? Didn't you already end chapter 3, or did I lose track of the pages? I thought I was sure that you passed to chapter 3 and that we're in chapter 4 now. Hi Kirani, how are you? I'm saying hi while I still have internet because it kept crashing today, so. No, I'm ending chapter 2, Anna. So, I'm ending chapter 2. So if I misspoke and I said chapter 3, I'm sorry. I meant to say chapter 2. I'm ending chapter 2. It's hard for me to talk and draw at the same time. And my brain is not coping with all the things I have to do. No, it might have been me misspeaking, misspoking. I might have said wrong. Because sometimes, you know, when I work and I have to talk at the same time, I sometimes say the wrong thing. I know I tend to do that. I wish I could have done this panel a little bit bigger, but unfortunately there wasn't enough room and I wanted to end the chapter, so I thought, okay, we'll squeeze it in here and should be fine. So here it is, the last chapter, page of the chapter, where Irwin sabotages Isaac Newton. So I'm assuming you guys don't know much about the context of the story. So what happened in real life was that Isaac Newton had some mental breakdowns, was under a lot of stress. This happened years before our story, and he kind of caused a scene somewhere. I forget which institution, they have such similar names. But anyway, and he was kind of antisocial and wasn't like a party person, or, you know, have like so many friends he can't remember the names. He had a couple of people that he exchanged letters with, and one of which was Gottfried Leibniz, like the cookies, Leibniz cookies, biscuits. So the same name, but that dude was, I think, a rich nobleman or something, and he's just a farmer's son. Anyway, they exchanged letters, and a couple of years later, kind of became a bit controversial because it was attributed that Newton invented calculus, but then also Leibniz, and they kind of sue each other, and in the end the court decided that it should be called the Newton-Leibniz theorem. I mean, I'm not sure exactly. I have to look it up again. I forget what it's called. Also, it's confusing for me because it's called different in Romanian. So yeah, their friendship kind of ended. So what I'm proposing is that it was actually all Irwin's fault, that he sent some nasty letters to his friend, insulting him and being a jerk, and since it had the seal and the same handwriting, that Gottfried would take it as being Newton's letter for sure. Although I've been told that at the time, people did not consider handwriting as a proof of authenticity, because very often people had servants to write the letters for them, especially the ladies, I mean, especially the noblemen would have servants to write for them. The ladies would be the ones that generally sent the letters, but they would have servants as well. And actually, when a nobleman did write a letter, their handwriting usually was kind of crappy because they didn't have practice in writing beautifully. But I'm assuming that Newton wasn't rich enough to have a servant write his letters, especially not for important stuff, because he was kind of secretive about his work. I mean, yeah, but not so much for the nobility. They would have to write some things, and then they would have someone write it for them. But it's my understanding that usually women sent a lot more letters because they would have to order some things, like you have now on Amazon. So the women kind of did more of the shopping and the house managing if the husband was away. So if the husband was away, the estate would have to be managed by the woman usually. Yeah. I mean, it was the primary occupation of the nobility was warfare most of the time, so they'll be away fighting, stuff like that. And the women would stay at home and manage the estate usually. In a lot of European cultures, to my understanding. I mean, I might have understood incorrectly what they were saying in all of the documentaries that I've been watching about how people lived their lives at the time. I always assumed that the notion that French people didn't wash was a exaggeration by their enemies, and I thought, well, no way that that's actually true. But apparently, I forgot which of the Ludovics was, because they had a lot of them. But during one of the Ludovic prince kings, they had like this stupid fashion where they believed this mumbo jumbo that if you washed, your soul would leave your body and other stupid stuff like that. So they would dry wash themselves with something acidic or alcohol based. And I don't know about you, but putting spirits like that on my tender areas doesn't sound that much fun. They would still sit in water, but not too much, I guess. I don't know what was in their heads. They usually did that in the summer when it was too hot, but it wasn't like a everyday practice like we have nowadays. I mean, nowadays I take a shower each day, but apparently it wasn't that frequent back then. I mean, not even at a couple of few days, it would take longer than that. like once a month, and it was like a medicinal recommendation. The doctor will tell you, oh, you have to wash this month. Well, Nancy Reagan, the wife of the president Reagan, she did a lot of stuff, arranged a lot of stuff in the White House because her astrologer, feng shui consultant told her to. Of course, you had feng shui in China, which was a lot of hogwash, and now it's illegal in China. It's considered superstition, so it's illegal. So I don't think we should fool ourselves into thinking that somehow our ancestors were more enlightened than us. And that they weren't superstitious. No, they were, pretty much. And apparently French superstition kind of caused a bad smell. Yeah, as far as I know, I mean, I don't know if they changed the legislation, but religion is illegal, superstition is illegal. They won't allow time travel in Chinese films and in foreign films. They might have relaxed their policy in the past few years, but there was a time when time travel was definitely illegal to show in Chinese films. And the reason is because it's fantasy. It's not real. And it's never gonna be real because there are a lot of issues, mainly the conservation of mass in the universe. How would you transport a person from the future into the past without violating that very fundamental law?